Welcome back to another episode of the Stick 'em Up podcast. Today, episode 5. Not really going to start numbering them anymore, but nonetheless, another episode. Hopefully give you one more later this week. But we're here, and today we are going to be talking about a couple different teams and a couple different events and news in general happening around the league. But other than that, before we get started, you got anything to say, Luca?
No. Should we start the player of the pod?
Yep. Go ahead and introduce it for us.
Yeah, so our player of the pod is Zach Hyman, if no one's aware. He has 12 points in his last 5 games, which isn't it's nothing really typical of him. But with his line mates, honestly, it should be. He's definitely having a breakout season.
Well, it's like 2. Let me interrupt you, but it's like 2 with the player of the pods. I mean, essentially every week we could have it as Connor McDavid.
Yeah, which is fair.
But like with the player of the pod, it's kind of just like the direction we're gonna have it. It's like, yes, on paper, very good players, like obviously stat wise, but it's more so the kind of like what you're not noticing or like who's not underrated, I guess, underrated players. But on the odd chance, we'll have the obvious ones. Like we had Thompson, Robertson. And then Morrissey was kind of an off-the-board one.
I think Morrissey was probably the most off-the-board, but he's also having a breakout season.
But that aged well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that aged well.
And Tage Thompson's going to, we said it was unusual, but I think now it's just going to be routine. Like, he's...
Oh, yeah, it'd be one of those.
Yeah.
But at the time that we did it, it wasn't normal to pick him.
We were literally freaking out when he has,
because it literally happened during the thing, too. But, yeah. But anyways, back to Zach Hyman. Yeah, we picked Zach Hyman today. I mean... Honestly, I mean, when you do play, there's really no wrong answer you can have. But I think Zach Hyman's definitely a good answer to have because he's 30 years old. This is his second season at Edmonton now.
Yeah.
He had a very good first season, and honestly, I'll be honest, I'm not surprised because I followed Zach Hyman his last 2 to 3 years in Toronto, and obviously he had a lot of injuries that carried along with that as well. But I knew this guy was going to be good, and obviously you could probably plug in most players with Connor McDavid and they can produce, but it's really not true if you see how Edmonton has the last 5 seasons. Obviously not everybody works with Connor McDavid, and I guess it kind of makes sense because you look Sidney Crosby, obviously, there's a lot of players that they plugged him with it, really didn't work. But yeah, with Hyman, fits like a glove, play him any line, any position, any special team, and I think you're going to see results.
He was never even not that you're saying he was bad in Toronto. He was good in Toronto.
Yeah, but obviously you have the big four, so he's obviously going to get overlooked. And he wasn't getting paid nearly as much. I mean, it was the Toronto media, so they did talk about him already. But I mean, his last season in Toronto, 33-43, amazing. The year before that in Toronto, 37-51. And then I'll just run his career. Before that, 41-71. 40-82, and then 28-82. This guy's always, low-key, he's always been good. And he's a late bloomer, I would say at least. 3rd-round pick by Florida in 2010. I did not know that.
I didn't know that either, actually.
Wow. I wonder what trade, I don't know.
I thought he was just...
I'm just going to assume Kyle Dubas traded for him that was one of the first things that he did. Because obviously, whatever... The Greyhounds.
I guess this knocks our hockey knowledge because this whole time I thought he was just because he played at the university.
I thought I could have thought he was undrafted.
Yeah, he played at Michigan, so I thought he was just a college free agent.
And I bet if we got 100,000 views on every one of these videos, I bet probably 50 out of those 100,000 people knew that Zach Hyman was drafted by the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, I seriously didn't know that.
But I mean, I think a lot of things too. Like last year in the playoffs. 16 points in 16 games, 11 of those being goals. And in the playoffs, goals mean everything. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But, Zach Hyman, he's unreal. And then, here's the thing, too. When he signed his contract last year, I mean, it's Twitter, for one, and it's the hockey community, for one, and it's free agency, so everyone's going to have something bad to say about every single contract. But, they're going to regret this so bad. I'm like, no, they're not. They're literally not. First off, I think it's...
Was it 6 or 7 years?
7. 7 years at $5.5 million. It's it was good last year, even better this year, so it's probably going to be even better or the same next season. The
thing is,
first 5 seasons. The thing with him is injured because he's already 30.
It's the thing with his playing style. He's they have their
Toronto already has hard nose.
Toronto already has their new Zach Hyman and Michael Bucky.
It's essentially
so it's it's the way he plays. He's hard on. He's the perfect power forward to be in your top 6.
I don't even know if he's a power forward. He's like a power forward and grinder. He's low-key a grinder. He's a two-way. I think two-way grinder or power forward if you want to go by like.
Well, that's
Eashel.
if it's like if you're adding grinder, then that's definitely helps the people that are arguing that the contract's going to be bad in the later years because grinders, their play style. So it's like
true.
So when they're making $5 million and they're 34, 35 or whatever, fans and owners, well, more so fans are going to argue that contract, is starting to, fizzle out as something that was good.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely good. And I think, the current state of the NHL, I would say is not good because no teams have cap space, no teams can make trades. Essentially every team is restricted on what they can even do. And I think for what people need to start realizing now that the salary cap's finally going to start going up, is what cap percentage is and what cap percentage means. Mm-hmm. So, yes, player X makes a certain amount of money, but it only makes up for this percent. You know what I mean? I feel like 10 years from now, in the NHL, a player making $5 million is the equivalent of a player making $1.5 million today.
Yeah, I mean,
if that makes sense.
No, I understand, and you're probably right. Honestly, I mean, it's gonna probably at the minimum. I mean, this is such a stupid thing to say, but because I've heard so much about how much the cap's going up over this offseason.
Max $5 million, minimum $1 million.
That was literally what I was gonna say. So.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not going to stay the same and it's not going to go down. Those two things you definitely do know. So hypothetically, any long-term contract now, excluding, obviously you can point out the ones that will always be bad. Mm-hmm. But it's for a player like Zach Hyman, this isn't even top 10 worst contracts on the team.
No.
You know what I mean? That's crazy to say. Well, yeah, because Edmonton doesn't really even have many bad contracts. Jack Campbell, that can look ugly.
But the ones they do have are very bad.
Yeah, okay, you're right on
very,
that.
very bad.
Yeah. But, I mean, a lot of it, too, I feel because again, what do we say about goaltending? It's so Jack Campbell kind of a 9-15 next season.
Yeah.
Really, your only main problem, because, Clefbaum, I get he's on LTIR, but it still counts. He's done after this season. Mike Smith technically is done, too. So you're getting a lot of cap relief, too, and other players, there was, one or two more that struck my mind. And it was
maybe Darnell Nurse.
No. Warren Fogle, he makes 2.75, but that's done after this season. Jesse Puljujarvi, he has one more after this season. I didn't know that. Fogle. Puljujarvi makes $3 million. That's after this. So, your big term investments that you made in the last 2-3 free agencies have paid off for the most part. I like to say Brett Kulak's a great one. Evander Kane's a great one. Re-signing Nuge is good. Bringing in Hyman, I think, is good. And yeah, I mean, Cody Ceci was also good in my opinion. So, when you're using the cap space you do have very restrictedly, I think, for the most part, it's gone well.
Mm. So, I mean, on top of that, actually, just before we move on, it's kind of crazy how Ken Holland's offseason acquisitions, for the most part, have actually not been bad. Other than the Campbell one, which will probably be better next season and so on.
It's way too early to tell.
But
I remember last season because last year was Olmark's first season in Boston, and a week or it might have been his first 2 games. I think he was horrific, and they were
the Swayman.
Yeah, and then Puck Empire he posted today, Linus Olmark's track record, drafted by so and so in 2012. As a 5th or 6th round pick, and now might win the Vezina and has the most wins ever at this point. But I think Edmonton they just really got to get it together because when you found a player like Hyman because the way he's producing, he's an $8 million player, 7.5 million player that he's playing he's only making 5.5. So we'll see what he continues to do in the direction of that team because I think just imagine when Kane gets back too.
He is back.
Oh no, Evander Kane.
Isn't he already back?
Oh my God, he is back. Yeah. Actually, I just realized that. So it's even. And what do you say? 12 points on his last 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 4 points 2 nights ago. So already the effect is already benefiting him. So.
Mm-hmm. Well deserved for him being player of the pod.
Congrats, man.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you'll get the title of this up. Actually, I don't know if you will because I think what the title and thumbnail of this video will be based around. Is what we're going to jump right into now for the start of this episode. And that's the Vancouver Canucks and everything that's been swirling from them. Basically, the Pittsburgh Penguins of 5 years ago, because that's essentially on what this has turned into. And even though you're looking at, I don't know, there's literally, because I think we could spend some time on this, 10, 15 minutes, because there's a lot to talk about with the Vancouver Canucks. and I think a lot that we should at least go into detail a little bit.
Realistically, you could talk about their situation for about 30, 40 minutes. That's really just how bad it is.
Because I think it starts with this, right? It starts with the JT Miller situation.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start from literally the beginning. You got this player for first-round pick from Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even care. It doesn't matter. At the time, that seemed horrible because JT Miller, I mean, it was just really a depth. That's how skilled Tampa was. So he didn't produce. Essentially, year one comes in, point per game, great. Then I think COVID happens. Year two, still point. Essentially, you got this great player now. Last season puts up 90 points, 99 actually. And he's like, he has one more season and then needs a contract extension. So rumors were already swirling about that till last season about who's going to trade him, like his extension, what do you want him for, whatever, so and so. And then literally 2 weeks before training camp started this season, they announced his extension, and it was 7 years at $8 million. That's not bad, I'll be honest. For his production and what he is at 29 years old, he's not even, again, it's a year. But first off, it's 7 years, not 8. Everyone keeps saying that they signed him for 8 years when it was really 7. I know that's nitpicking. It doesn't matter too much. But it was for 7, and he's 29. So this is going to take him up till he's 37 probably. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be good at all of it. I get that. But I literally think what is the least attractive part about this player is the locker room and the lack of defense.
Yeah. Well, according to him, the defense. According to him, he's fine. He's fine on defense. That's why he's not, producing.
My offensive production is just to reflect how good I am defensively or something like that. When you're not even good offensively, half of your points are the power play.
I don't know what he was thinking whenever he said that, to be honest.
All right, let me ask you a question. Was prioritizing Miller over Horvat the right move?
Personally?
Before the season even started, because you couldn't even say that Bo Horvat's on pace for 60 goals.
Well, we both know the reason why they signed him to that deal was because they couldn't find a trade that they liked. So they...
Okay, but at the same time, it's like, okay, so now we have your... This is what I heard they might do with Meyer, but I was like, okay, we're going to give you this extension now. Now we'll see which teams like that extension. You know what I mean?
Are there any?
I don't...
Because I'd be hard...
This is one of the most... You cannot... This is one of the most least tradable players in the entire league. That's even worse than probably... That's with Vlasic, and you could... Kemper now, not Kemper.
What makes him hard to trade is it's so sad to say this, but what makes him hard to trade, because he has skill. What makes him hard to trade is his character.
Yeah.
He's just a cancer.
Dude, I remember last 2 seasons, I would always just randomly say to you, I want JT Miller in overtime. I want JT Miller in the shirt. He is so clutch. And I literally, believe that. And now I'm seeing this now, and it's just ridiculous. But JT Miller doesn't even scratch the surface of what's going on with the Canucks. We can get into, the business and the management, because, I will be honest, I'm not informed on it at all, but if I'm not mistaken, a couple months ago, there was an issue that happened with, a female, I think it was the female assistant general manager or something at the time.
Yeah.
And they fired her after, 2 weeks.
There was But
there's an investigation going on with that right now.
There was a relation thing that was there was an issue in the front office, but
then it's you brought in OEL. No one likes that. Everyone wants to get rid of him. You did that on your own. You brought in Connor Garland, which that trade made it good that you brought in Connor Garland because I think he's a very skilled forward. Now you want to dump him. Well, he makes $5 million. There's $5 million out. Okay. You want to buy out Tyler Myers or find a trade for him with 1 year left with $6 million? Okay, find a way to get rid of that. There's $6 million gone. We're already at 11. You traded Jason Dickinson, even more money. Brock Besser, you want to trade. Well, there's another $6 million that you can trade that still has value. You know what I mean? So you're saying how you can't keep Horvat. Literally, if you just make the right trades, you can sign Bo Horvat to whatever he wants. 8.5, $9 million.
Well, here's the thing. You are obviously already know this, but it's sad because there are organizations that have this that are operated like this, and this is one of them. Jim Rutherford does not run the Canucks. It's Aquilini. It's the owner of the Canucks.
Patrick Allvin doesn't even run the Canucks.
No, neither of them run it. It's all throughout.
And they might be getting the boot. I feel like low-key, a year from now, at this time, depending on how the Canucks are doing, what direction they chose in the offseason, we could be talking a year from now about them being fired.
Both of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really just they wanted Miller because they knew they couldn't get the right deal for him.
But which is crazy.
Bruce wasn't even their coach because you remember you heard all those statements out this. Rutherford said this wasn't even the coach that I wanted. That is so
and
so
then you
embarrassing.
go and get Rick talking Jim Rutherford. Can you? Because what he's doing, maybe it's not this extreme. Definitely not. But what he's doing is like the things that he did in Pittsburgh that worked. Like, let's be honest, when the Penguins traded for Trevor Daley, Justin Schultz, Ian Cole, Ron Hainsey, that's just defenders I'm naming. Carl Hagelin, Nick Bonino, Phil Kessel, all of these players that literally Rutherford traded and formed into a Stanley Cup winning team in literally a season. Do you think all those were luck or skill? Maybe half and half. Half of it you got lucky that this player turned out good. The other half you made a good trade. Well, let's see. Rutherford this season has already made 2 trades. And granted, they were minor ones, but when the Penguins were going through that and Rutherford was making those trades, to us, those trades also seemed minor. So I feel like when he traded for Jack Stugnica for Mikey DiPietro
and Riley's,
and when he got Ethan Bear for a 5th round, Ethan Bear and like Leighton Peterson for a 5th round pick.
Didn't he do the right? No, I'm stupid.
He did the Jason Dickinson one too. You got Riley Stillman for Dickinson in a second.
So that was him?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I don't know if they made any more this offseason. I could be wrong. But basically, those are just the 3 since the season started. That's what you tried to fix before it got bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those moves didn't work out. Yeah, huh?
Sign McCabe.
Which he's playing great for them. He's not even playing bad for them because he's not. He's playing great for them, but it's like you don't need him. No. And then you screwed up the Tanner Pearson thing too. And if he never got hurt, that was another player you could have traded that someone could have found interest in to clear up more cap. He makes like 3.5 for the next season. And now he might not ever play again because you screwed that up.
Well, they didn't screw it up. It was their medical team.
But like it all stems from the top. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. Like Jim Rutherford, what you did with Pittsburgh was amazing. No Pittsburgh fan is ever saying about that. But like it's also what you did was also you cannot replicate because of the path you chose to take.
Well, he's old, and that was.
But let's not forget though how he ended. No one even knows why he ended in Pittsburgh. He just stepped down.
Yeah, that was.
That season was going horrible before he stepped down, and the year before that there was nothing. So his luck run out in Pittsburgh, and that's why the last year and a half to 2 years were so bad in Pittsburgh under him.
There was all those rumors. I remember the rumors. I forget what they were though, but there were so many of them. Like why he actually like stepped down.
Yeah, I mean I don't really know what to believe, but it's like with Jim Rutherford. When he wants to make a move, that is probably the scariest thing because he will trade your prospects, he'll trade your players, and he'll trade your draft picks.
To simply put it, he's just not with the times anymore. I mean,
no, honestly, he's older. He's on the older side for sure, but it's also we'll talk about this is the one last thing I want to talk about the Canucks, right? The roster, the forward core, like the forward core. Defense is horrific. Quinn Hughes is amazing. That's what you get from that essentially. Goaltending, I never thought Demko was that good because. Again, been over goaltending like that. So goaltending, whatever. But like, what are the Canucks? Like, are they a rebuild or are they?
That's the thing. The owner won't let Alvin and them like commit to anything.
Because what? Last year they missed the playoffs, right? Year before that they missed.
Or not Alvin. I mean, I'm so stupid. The Aquilinis. They won't commit to anything.
It's like you know what I think it is. It was the bubble season. And when they had the playing rounds, they made it to the second round. They managed because Demko stood on his head.
It's false hope.
It literally was because you see them like, dude, we're ready to like take the next step in these players. Because for the most part, it's the same guys except OEL and Garland.
Really. I probably would have said the same thing.
Yes, and then you see this, and then it's just like you're going down. It's literally steps back from that. So it's like, what do you want to do? Another player they can trade because he's not working out. Nils Höglander. There's another one.
I haven't heard about him in forever.
That's what I mean. There's so many players that the Canucks can trade at the deadline, and it's actually unreal. Like,
is he even on their roster? No, I don't think he is.
Like Brock Besser, trade. Horvat, trade. Miller, you might be able to. Depends. Garland, you want to trade. I know that. Andrei Kuzmenko, who you just got, who's playing amazing, who's a UFA, and now you might have to trade. Kuzmenko, trade. Are there any other ones? There's so many more. Tyler Myers, maybe a trade. Luke Shen, another trade target. Who else here? That's you have the Tucker Pullman signing too, which was also horrible.
Höglander had not, I think.
And they put Colson in the minors now too.
Well, Höglander has 9 points in 25 games.
Yeah.
In the NHL, in the AHL, he has 7 and 13.
Do the same with Colson.
Check and see what he's doing.
Yeah, but like it's crazy because if you bring in if Alvin and Rutherford do this right, if they want, how about this? If they want to go into a full-fledged or like a rebuild or like a 2 to 3 year retool, they have the power to do that at this deadline with the assets they have.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to 1-year retool, or if they want to be competitive for next year and gear up for next year, they have the assets to do that. So literally after the deadline, we will, or at least I hope to. You don't want maybe they say they do a 1-for-1 with Horvat with whoever. I don't even care whoever. 1-for-1 Horvat for Chikrin. And then it's not going to happen. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Stay in competitive trade and then like sell off Kuzmenko and Besser, where it's confusing. But after the deadline, for the most part, we'll be able to tell what direction that Rutherford and Alvin want to go in with the team.
To answer your thing, he has 15 and 22 in the AHL.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And he has like 3 assists in the NHL. No, I don't even know how many games.
Colson, like he was projected to win the Calder before last season started.
Yeah, the odds had him like top 3.
Yeah. So honestly, and then we didn't even mention how great of seasons Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson are having too.
Well, and Horvat, but I don't have to.
Pettersson's having an unreal season.
Yeah, well.
But it's like, that doesn't matter, though. No one cares.
No, literally. I mean, I guess the All-Star voting does care.
You are quite literally one of the worst run teams in the league. Like, you were up there with Buffalo from 3 years ago, and you're up there with Philly right now.
Cannot be more correct with that. What's Quinn Hughes doing? I don't even.
Having a great year. Like 3 weeks ago, he had
no
goals.
Yeah, he's
he has like no goals, and what does he have now? Like 4 or 5?
He has 4. He's point per game.
Yeah. So.
And he's a +5. He might be the only plus defenseman.
Oh yeah, I know.
Maybe Luke Shen is also one.
Yeah. Basically, you have all these options, and let's see. First round pick, second round. They have their picks. They don't have a second for next year, which is whatever.
Well, they could get one if they really wanted to.
They could get
several.
At the end of this deadline, they could honestly have like 3 firsts and 4 seconds just acquired by trades.
Will they? Probably not. Then.
No, they're not. And you're saying like cap space. You can't say this for all teams. You can't say this for most teams. But for the Canucks, a team that has no cap space right now to re-sign their star player, you can easily make cap space from now until the trade deadline. You can clear up a lot of cap space if you manage this team right.
Well, they're indecisive. And there's a difference. We always talk about this because the Red Wings did this. You know, whenever Ken Holland was the GM, and these are like 2 different paths, and I'm not really, or 2 different scenarios, and I don't know what's
oh my God, they're 27th in the league, by the way. I didn't even notice that.
That shouldn't be a shock, really, because.
Yeah.
But like.
So they're at Bedard.
I don't know what's worse because with Ken Holland and his Red Wings in the late 2010s, 2011, he didn't want to rebuild because Ken Holland's. Mindset. I remember at the end of the season presser, I think it was the 15-16 season, they're talking about a rebuilding, and he hates those because they take a successful one to him takes 10, 12 years, and that is not the truth. Maybe to him. No,
but it's not true, but it's also not an exaggeration. Because you know why? What do they say? Rebuilds are easy to start. They're easy to tear down. Mm-hmm. It's getting kind of what Detroit's in right now. Now it's the hard part, like finding who fits, who doesn't, what works. What you still need to add, what you still need. Like, right now, technically, the Canucks, they're at rock bottom. Mm-hmm. But they're at the easiest part of whatever direction they want to go in, they're at the easiest part of it.
So what's worse? The late 2010s Red Wings, where they just didn't want to give into a rebuild, or this? What do you think's worse?
I'd say this is worse because they had expectations and standards to go into.
Yeah.
Or multiple. Whereas like that, your Red Wings and like the Penguins right now have one clear goal: just make the playoffs at least.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually now I think I kind of forget this, and it doesn't really matter.
Well, the Canucks heading into this season, I didn't think their main goal was to make the playoffs, but also I didn't think it was this bad.
I mean, I could have seen them making it with the roster that they had.
Yes, but they have. Literally, probably for the last 3 seasons, I could make an argument for it. I'm not saying it's right. I could make an argument for it. For the last 3 seasons, the Canucks have had one of the better top 9 forward cores in the whole league. It's that defense is so bad. It's so bad. Which I don't know why, because Quinn Hughes is really good.
Yeah.
Luke Shen, you're handling him right. OEL stinks. Myers stinks. Dermott, when healthy, stinks.
Really?
Burrows stinks. I mean. And then call up Rathbone, call up Jet Wu, just see what they can at least do.
No.
And then you just drafted Jonathan Lekermacki, actually. Remember?
People forgot about that. I'm people. Because I totally forgot actually about that.
So, I don't know. That was a lot. Felt like therapy to just get off. But, and then we'll talk about real quick. They hired Rick Tocchet, which was a shock to no one because I was reported for the last several days now. But again,
Bruce.
Another Pittsburgh guy.
Literally, poor Bruce. I feel so bad.
He was bad. All right, Rick Tocchet was bad in Arizona, but I'll give you,
Arizona.
Yeah, it was Arizona. You were good in Pittsburgh as an assistant.
Did he run the power play or the
Yeah,
defense? Or
power play.
Okay.
But now you're in here, so literally your first game's against Chicago, so they literally set you up for the fans to like you.
Yeah.
But if you lose that game,
yeah, and I mean, you can. You literally can.
Oh, you quite
Chicago
literally
can.
because there's people called like Sam Lafferty and Jason Dickinson.
Who are elite.
Yeah.
And they will score shorthanded goals, and they will make you regret even being
so
on the power play.
literally, we could have if they lose to the Blackhawks like 8-0. Is it tonight or tomorrow? It doesn't really matter.
I don't know. I hope it happens, though. That'd be so funny.
But we could have a better episode than what we're having right now talking about.
I can't even imagine what would be said in like just all over social media. Not even if it wasn't a blow, just losing. Literally just losing to that team.
But then you also got to think too, like
It's
they're
Samara, by the way.
back. Their two second and third string goalies are Spencer Martin and Colin Delia, and you traded Mikey DiPietro because you didn't have a spot for him. When I bet you Mikey DiPietro would have been a better risk at taking than Spencer Martin and Colin Delia, two goaltenders that are over the age of 27 years old and have been nothing more than third stringers their entire lives.
I didn't think DiPietro was developing so well, unless I'm mistaken.
I don't think he was, but at this point, I feel like he would have been a better option than going in with Martin and Delia.
Michael D. I'm gonna look at last year's stats of him.
See, he's been doing this year too. I'm assuming he's playing the AHL for Boston.
Well, last year he played 2 games and he had
In the AHL?
No, in the NHL. Last year he played 2 games and he had an 824.
I mean, I take that with a grain of salt.
Okay, so in the AHL, he has 34 games played. I'm on the NHL.com website, and it doesn't tell me his record, but he had a 901. You could probably find it if you really
That's
want
whatever. I'm not going to spend that much time on Mikey DiPietro.
Dude, why?
But yeah, I mean, at this point, you're 27th in the league. We're well over halfway through. It's Bedard time, I think. They say they want to trade Horvat for like another like roster player or like young player that's already in the NHL. So like a 21-year-old, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what they want. But it's like, I don't know if you're getting that.
Dude, forget that. Just get assets. Just get picks. The year that Horvat is having,
Yeah,
I don't think they.
But like this is the thing though, because this year's trade deadline, there's going to be a lot more protected picks that we see. They said so. It's like, well, if I'm not getting a top 10, not even top 15 pick in this year, in 2023's draft, why would I even want use like say you trade Bo Horvat to the Bruins for a first round pick? Well, that's going to do no good. That would be 28 at the earliest.
Okay, exclude them because I mean their pick's going to be so late. But like still, this draft class is so stacked. So even if you don't get a top 10, 15, go to like 16 to 25.
But at that point, if I'm not getting if I'm not getting 1 or 2 top 15, then just give me a bunch of later rounds. Like give me like 2 seconds, give me 3 thirds, give me 2 fourths.
I mean, yeah, no, I agree, but it's just like
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel
the team
like
you wouldn't want to do.
no one's ever going to be happy with a trade. So people are going to like the Horvat trade. Now people are going to absolutely hate it. And regardless of how what the trade ends up to be and who's it with, it's going to take at least one season to actually see who won the trade. At least one. Probably could talk about 3 or 4 depending on if they get futures.
Yeah, no, you're right. But they like we said before, they have the world to sell off. It's just a matter of will they give in to doing it. I guess these next 3 games, like you said, will really like determine.
Not even what direction, like how the fans are.
Well, kind of in the direction because say they win 3 games, say they win all of them, say they win 2. That's just going to give like more false hope for the owner and for the front office because then they probably won't sell as much as they could.
True. So yeah, you do raise a good point with that. Again, we don't know. I think for the most part, if you do follow the hockey news, really you watch your Elliot Friedmans, you listen in on like trades and like rumors and what's going on, the rumblings around the league with different GMs. For the most part, when it's all said and done, things that like Friedman and all them say generally are true. They just take time. So, but I can't even tell you when I hear a rumor from Vancouver what's going to happen leading up to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you are Vancouver management, you are looking forward to the trade deadline. That is your goal right now. Personally, I don't even care if you lose all your games.
I mean, maybe
If you do at that point, then yeah, you definitely gotta tank for Bedard. But
it would help. It would help their case at least.
But like, at the same time, it's like, okay, who's gonna be like a bottom 5 team when it's all said and done? We'll end the Canucks talk right now because it's going on a while. But we'll just start something real quick. When it's all said and done, who do you think is gonna be the bottom 5 teams in the league at the end of the season?
Not in any order, but
Yeah.
Montreal. Would you? I don't think you disagree.
I mean, we can tell you why in a second, but go ahead.
Montreal, Arizona. I was gonna say Philly, but they're like
No, they're not.
they're crazy right now for reasons
Columbus. I would say Montreal, Arizona, Columbus, Chicago,
Anaheim. That's 5.
That's 5.
All right.
So it's like you are, but there's going to be other teams that want to get even worse, like Vancouver, who's 27th right now, San Jose, who can get even worse, Ottawa can get even worse. So it's like, if you're going for, say, the whole thing is tank for Bedard, right? You're tanking to get the first overall. Okay, so you're tanking. You don't get it. Oh, well. Well, what happens? Well, you might get a Leo Carlson. You might get a Matvei Michkov. You might get an Adam Fantilli.
His stock has dropped, apparently, because there's issues with his...
You might get a Dalibor Dvorsky.
That's a whole different... Oh, yeah.
Basically, what I'm saying is, just because you're going to tank for Bedard and you don't get Bedard, doesn't mean that it was a fail. Because it's like the McDavid-Eichel draft. Just because if McDavid wasn't in the draft, Eichel's your consensus number 1. If Bedard's not in this, got Michkov, Fantilli, like I said, you know what I mean? So, like I said, if you're bad, just continue to be bad because you don't know what it could land you. Right?
I agree. I actually do agree.
Yeah. And as to why we said Montreal, well, let's talk about them. Because the other day...
They're dying.
Before I even say now, what was their theme last season? Just come off the Stanley Cup final to the Lightning. Yes, it was like a Mickey Mouse run to an extent. But who was their GM? Who was their GM last year?
Mark Bergevin?
Yeah, Bergevin. He's made all these signings in the past. Now they're ready. He's got a positive result. And what happens last season?
They are atrocious.
They were quite literally the worst team in, it might be either NHL history or the salary cap era where a team made it to the Stanley Cup final and was that bad points percentage the following season. But last season they had so many injuries. COVID hit them pretty bad. Found out they lost Weber. They lost Price. Had the Kotkaniemi offer sheet. Quite literally, so many rumblings happened in that locker room and on the team and the morale. And it kind of it made sense why they were bad because even last season you were saying, this team's not good.
I said it during the Stanley Cup. I said it while they're in the Stanley Cup final.
Well, what happened last season? Bergevin gets fired. Luke Hughes, or Ken Hughes, comes in and first trade, Toffoli trade. That was a great trade.
It's like a GM that has a brain. That's crazy. The Canucks should probably...
I wonder if you can see his,
figure that
out.
Oh,
yeah, you can see... I can see Ken Hughes' trade history. Okay, yeah. So what does he do? Toffoli trade. I think you did well in that trade. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The Ben Sherratt trade, self-explanatory. If you need to know why the Ben Sherratt trade was good for Montreal, probably should not be watching this podcast at this point. Great trade. Arturi Lehkonen for a second and Justin Barron. Realistically, you probably want a little more than that.
I don't know what his production was like.
It wasn't good. In Montreal, it was good players stat-wise. It wasn't good.
Right.
So
maybe it was appropriate. Maybe it was just fair.
Realistic. Looking back on it, you definitely want more, but I think you're fine with what you get. Got 2 seconds for Brett Kulak, so
cool.
I think that's pretty good. Now the Evgeny Dadonov or Shea Weber trade. When this trade first happened in the offseason, okay, now they got Slavkovsky, they got one other really good player in the first round.
I'm blanking right now.
I forget.
I'm blanking.
Oh, Mazar?
No.
It was like that, though.
It's something like that.
Okay, regardless. Yeah. They really great draft. And that Joshua Roy dude was really good for them.
I got to find it.
Yeah. But then they make the Evgeny Dadonov trade. For them, it doesn't really matter because the way...
no, you're right. Yeah, I think it's pronounced Mazar or something.
So when this trade was made, I was like, oh my God. They just unloaded Shea Weber's contract for free, got an asset with 1 year left who could be good, and you can even more for him. Retain half because he makes $5 million. It's like, who wouldn't want Evgeny Dad, a 20-goal scorer at the minimum, at $2.5 million? Well, unfortunately, has been playing horrible, but from now till the trade deadline, he's going to get top 6 minutes to do well. So you might even benefit more from that trade. And then was a crazy one at the draft. I was at work. I wish I would have watched it live. You got a first. You got Frank Nazar. Literally, I could have just scrolled up. 13th overall pick, Frank Nazar.
Philip Mazar.
It's Frank. It's Frank Nazar. Nazar.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think the other one went to Chicago.
No. Frank Nazar went to Chicago. Chicago drafted Nazar.
Oh, if I would have just scrolled up, I would have. Okay.
They drafted Philip Mazar.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm so sorry. So they essentially got Kirby Dach for Alexander Romanov. Mm-hmm. That's basically what it was.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think that's a good trade. Let's see. And then there was this one that happened in the summer after the draft. Jeff Petrie and Riley Paling to Pittsburgh for
Let's go.
Matheson a fourth. Honestly, I'll be genuine here. You really can't really say who won this trade yet because literally Matheson, I think he's played less than 10 games this season. Oh, he's played 7 points in 13 games. When he's healthy, he'll be fine. I honestly, you got out of the Jeff Petrie contract. Congrats. Even though Matheson does have more term, he's also younger and probably produces offensive just the same amount, realistically.
Just lefty.
Yeah. And then there was the Sean Monahan trade, which was just... I don't know when you're getting your first-round pick, but remember that.
Yeah, no.
But you are getting one eventually.
Yeah.
So we'll just leave it at that because... And you might get another first for somebody's hurt.
Yeah,
but again, I promise after these trades, we'll get into it.
Yeah, I mean... With all those conditions,
I
literally can't even tell you. I can't even tell you when that pick's going to be because of the conditions.
That was the last trade he's made, by the way. So, yeah, but like right now, these injuries that they have, I mean, I'll name all of them. Like Paul Byron. When I say these names, just think at least NHL forward or like an NHL body. You know?
I'm going to be honest. I forgot Paul Byron.
And listen to all the salary. Listen to the salary. Paul Byron, $3.4 million. Monahan, $6.4 million. Carey Price, $10.5 million. Gooley, Slavkovsky. Jake Evans, $1.7 million. Yoel Armia, $3.4 million. Jonathan Durant, $5.5 million. Brendan Gallagher, $6.5 million. Those are all just on the IR or LTIR. This isn't even counting like regular day-to-day injuries or whatever. And then you're out Cole Caulfield the rest of the season too.
Which he was playing with that shoulder injury for months apparently.
They have 12 forwards on their active roster right now. Want me to read you the 12?
Yeah, do it.
You ready? Suzuki, Anderson, Dadonov, Hoffman, Dvorak, Doc. That's a good top 6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Pitlick. Oh, they saw Caulfield on here, so they only have 11. Pitlick, Ylonen, Harvey Pinard, Pezzetta, Belzile. You went from NHL top 6 to ECHL top 6.
I mean, it's basically just a repeat of last year when their team just
and then
dropped
your defense,
like flies.
You know the defense. Matheson, Edmondson, Savard. Edmondson and Savard might get traded for first round. Actually, I don't know about Savard. Edmondson probably is getting a first.
Because Ken will throw one.
Justin Barron, 21 years old. Jordan Harris, 22. Jack Guy, 21. Kovacevic and Chris Weidman. Like, this team, from now to the trade deadline, is in a good... if I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, and I know we have at least one Montreal Canadiens fan watching right now, I like where this team's at, and I like what this team's capable of. For as much salary as they have on the books, I realize it's not on their current cap hit, but on the books and what they're paying, it's so much. What do you think? Give me some.
The fact that they actually, I mean, the Canucks, they should, maybe like, they should sit down and maybe talk to Ken Hughes on what it's like to actually, rebuild a team because Ken Hughes is actually doing all the right things.
And when he came in, this team had so many contract issues. Granted, probably half of them are still there, but it's looking a lot better because.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What did I say? I mean, you traded Toffoli, who had term. You traded, whatever. Who else? Like Sherratt didn't have term, but you traded. Weber is never going to play again, but that's a pretty big contract.
You basically did. You attained assets because you were supposed to because you're rebuilding.
So for those of you who don't know, at the end of the day, the NHL is a business, so that means you are paying money to a higher company. And even though that Weber isn't going to cost them, their cap it, they still have to pay him that actual money.
Yeah.
And to not have to do that was huge. But yeah, Price, who's probably done.
I knew he was done. All those things in the summer saying that like.
Oh yeah, I did too.
But like, I saw comment and like obviously it'd be cool to see him play, but it was just like everything he's gone through. I'm like not to be like a Debbie Downer, but it's just there was no way he was.
But it's like you just gotta know if he plays again. I hope so because I hope for him. You know
That'd
what I mean?
Cool. Yeah.
But you need to know if you're gonna be able to use 10.5 for 5 more seasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Actually, no. Oh my God, not even. Oh, 3 more after this one. You need to hey, do I have this 10.5 million? No. I just kind of want to know, and that's essentially what it is. But this team is really like.
Are they still paying Carl Alsner? They bought him out. Are they still paying him?
$800K for another season.
Forgot he existed. That's crazy. Forgot he was even a have.
Who are some players you think you could trade at this deadline, realistically?
Josh
Anderson, maybe.
What's Monet? I don't know what his timeline is.
I don't either.
If he does...
the Canadians, they're long. These Canadian injuries are long-term because they released that. Remember, did you see on Twitter 2 or 3 days ago that giant list? All right, but Anderson, you can maybe make a trade work. That's a maybe. We know he's on the block, but you can maybe trade him. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Dadonov, It depends what he does in his production from now till the trade deadline.
Wait, John Anderson's got a hefty contract though.
He does, but for some reason though, people are interested in him.
If it says 2 weeks for Sean Monahan.
Okay, so he'll be back.
Yeah, so you're definitely moving him. There's no
Hoffman,
reason.
maybe. I'd say maybe on how about this? Maybe on Anderson, maybe on Dadonov, maybe on Hoffman, no on Dvorak. And then the rest of the forwards don't even matter. Edmondson, yes. I think Edmondson, you're getting a first.
You're getting a first because Ken Holland is going to throw one right at you.
When the rumors are like that, it's pretty much true. Savard, maybe you find. I think next year you find a trade for him. And then other than that, you're not. They already said they don't want to trade Jake Allen. They think Samuel Montembeau is their future.
He's having a great year.
Yeah.
For at least
Gallagher, you're not trading him. Duran, no one's going to take. Armia, no one's going to take. Evans, you're probably keeping. All right, so that's essentially. They're going to make some moves. Not a lot, but they're going to make some. Now, like the Slafkovsky thing, that hurts. But it's like, again, me personally, I just don't think you should have played him this year. I think you should have been in the AHL this season.
I think
or overseas. You shouldn't even sign him.
I think the same thing, but I mean,
I'm just not for.
I don't even remember what he did in camp.
Unless you're Bedard, I didn't even think Shane Wright should have played this year.
No.
I'm okay with waiting at least 1 year.
Yeah.
2, we can have the discussion when he gets to 2. You know, your second year, your draft plus 2.
Yeah.
But for draft plus 1, they can play in juniors, play them in juniors. AHL, overseas. That's what I think.
It's just like the reputation thing. Oh, you're the first overall pick. You have to have to hop right in. There's only few generational talent. That's what they're meant for.
And I think this could be a whole nother topic discussion we can do in the off season or a slow time. But the way people look at first overall picks is so bad. Rasmus Dahlin. Don't know why anyone ever did write him off because he never gave you any reason to.
I know. I understand why people were down. Even after his rookie season, he had I think 40-something.
He had a great rookie season.
Yeah, he had a great rookie season.
He had a down sophomore season, but if you went and checked that Buffalo Sabres roster record stats from that season, can't be his fault.
I'm pretty sure every season he just also he was putting up points. Now they weren't what he's doing now, but he was still getting I think at least 40. I think every year.
But it's so. Yeah, Dahlin, people wrote off. Everyone wrote off Hughes. People are writing off Lafreniere. No one wrote off Power, but what Power did was right. But it's let these first round picks either they can play right away. That's fine. If you want them to play right away, I wouldn't do it, but you can do it.
That's on you.
Don't write them off if they don't do good though. I'm not. So back to the Habs because we were running out of time here and want to get to what I was getting at. For Slafkovsky, I'm not saying he's a bust. I'm not saying he's gonna be a bust. What I'm saying is, I don't think he should have played in there. There was no reason to.
No, I agree.
When fully healthy, how does he have a roster spot?
I don't know. And I mean, I've watched some games and he's looked fine.
Yeah.
He's
gotten hit hard a couple times.
It's just I don't know.
And he's been suspended.
Yeah, that was cool. But all these even as a first overall pick, you take every prospect takes time.
It's different.
It's different for everyone.
Tage Thompson, great example.
Yeah, I think that he was a unicorn. Literally, I don't.
But yeah, but what you're seeing from Caden Gooley is amazing.
Yeah, Caden Gooley. He looks comfortable out there.
Your defense, I would like, but I think it's time for them to start sucking because you should just tank.
I think Ken Hughes agrees. I think you and him think alike.
I mean, realistically, now that I'm looking at it, and depending how long the injuries take, and obviously more injuries can arise, I don't think the Habs will make many trades. I think they'll at least make one, and that's Joel Edmondson. Mm-hmm. I see max they make is 3. But again, salary cap is such an issue, so they got to figure out their LTIR.
He's not an idiot. I think Hughes will he knows.
We'll make the necessary ones.
Yeah.
I think a trade like Anderson and Hoffman take place at the draft or in the offseason.
Monahan's going to go. I'm not sure for what. Just depends how he produces when he gets back from his injury.
So
if he's already back.
The Canadians, I'm already trade deadline's probably 5 weeks, 4.5 to 5 weeks away. That's gonna be a fun show. I think we should live the first hour or something.
That would be cool. I don't know what day is it on. Do you know?
No, or you can do a recap. Turn off.
We're definitely
turn off our phones for 2 hours and we'll figure something out.
We're definitely recapping it.
But yeah, we're really running out of time here. We're at 44. Let's just talk about the All-Star real quick. Last couple minutes.
So the fan vote was pretty much useless.
It's the players that already should have been in it.
Yeah.
Linus Ullmark making over Pasta. On paper, I get why you did that, but don't do that.
The amount of Chad Ruhwedel comments I've seen, it's actually crazy.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think for those of listening, you don't know, but like Luke and I have the same really thought on the All-Star game. When I was younger, I think it's different because it's for the kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like last like 3 years, I really have not cared for it because it really doesn't mean anything. And I not necessarily don't want it to mean anything, but like having the players be MVP and get a car, they don't care about that. You know what I mean?
They're just going to give it
Remember when
away.
there was a draft and the last player got the car in Ovechkin?
Why was that even a thing?
Why
Why
so
do you get a car if you're the last person?
Yeah. I mean, I'll watch the highlights. Jerseys are fine.
I love the jerseys.
You know what my favorite jersey was? It was the John Scott one, the yellow and the black and the gray.
You like those?
Those were so good.
I hated them. Well, I didn't hate them. I just weren't.
Yeah.
I wasn't big on them.
I don't really care who wins, what division wins. I don't really care who scores the most points.
I don't care if Larkin's last and the
I'll
fastest
probably
skater.
watch. Honestly, I care more about the skills competition than I do the All-Star game. So I'll probably try and find a way to watch the All-Star game or the skills competition.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean,
I just wish it was 5-on-5. It was one game because that way you can kind of have more players from it. I'm not saying that I like when 3 or 4 players from one team make it, but I think it's kind of boring how you essentially just have one player from every team for each divisional team.
the amount of critique I don't think we have time for the amount of critiques we could go on about how they every year settle the All-Star weekend.
Put your Crosby in, put your Matthews in. Like Nylander should make it, but Matthews should also be there. Draisaitl should make it, but McDavid should also. You get where I'm saying.
And then let us actually vote in our Jalen Chatfields and our.
Yes, wow. That was actually.
We'll get it. We'll get
probably
it. Yeah,
another day. But yeah, I don't even know when the All-Star. It's coming up. It's like a week or two. It's like 2 weeks away.
it's pretty close. Yeah.
It's coming up. So maybe any interesting storylines. See if Ovechkin gets suspended a game for not good. Did he even get in? He had to have.
Probably.
See, that's why
I don't know.
I don't even know the teams because I don't even care. I just know Crosby made it because we really don't have anyone else who deserves to.
Well, yeah, because it's your team.
I wish Jari made it. Honestly, I kind of wish that.
Well, then that goes
so he
against.
could be a 3-time All-Star.
Yeah, but then that would go against the Linus Ullmark thing that you said. Like,
oh,
you should have.
No, but like if Jari was like the last man in, and possibly just made it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's can't always be out. We'll see. Yeah, we wanted to talk about a couple injuries around the league, but honestly, it was just the season-ending ones. Norris and Pacioretty, 2 players try to come back. Didn't last long. For Pacioretty, that kind of sucks because he is getting to the tail end of his career. Believe it or not, he's 34.
All those goofy people that picked up Josh Norris and then just
or picked up Pacioretty.
Or
twice.
Twice. Yeah.
Right after the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Josh Norris, it really sucks. But for the Ottawa Senators, congrats, you get to lose more games.
They don't want. Dorian doesn't want to, so I don't get it. The Ottawa Senators are just weird. They're a weird team.
I don't know. I'll be honest. I think it's kind of crazy how people put so much faith into, people put so much like hope into Josh Norris. Like, wow, a second line center is going to do that. A second line center on that team is going to be your make or break for either being a bottom 5 team or a wild card team. Because that's basically what it was. So it was like, oh, we're going to make the playoffs now. Oh, no, Norris, I guess we'll tank. Really? Josh Norris is a great player, and I love him, and I think he's very skilled, don't get me wrong. But I don't think he's that much of a game breaker.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, they probably also expected Pinto to step in, which is a lot for a kid. He's
got like 3 assists and like 15 goals.
Yeah. Oh, well. Well, the Sens in a whole are
we can talk about them, too.
They're weird.
We can talk about any team, really.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was it. We rambled on a lot, but I do like what we talked about.
Yeah, I do, too.
Hopefully, we got a little crazy at times. But, yeah, it was definitely a good discussion. Mainly just the Canucks and Canadians. But we will upload those 2 as separate clips. So look out for that. We have a couple separate clips coming from last episode as well that are still relevant. We're going to get on that very soon for you guys. But other than that, that's another episode. Today we recorded this on Tuesday, January 23rd, I think. Mm-hmm. So maybe 2-3 days from now, expect one, maybe 4 at the max. Yeah. The max 4. But what do you guys say?
No, I'm
looking forward to.
I'm happy with the conversation we had. The Canucks really took us away.
We talked about them for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, but
I'm happy with it.
It's hard not to. I'm glad there's drama.
To.
Yeah, I'm glad there's drama.
If we wanted to be a podcast, we got to talk about that.
Yeah, thank God they're atrocious as an organization. I love it.
Anything else? I mean, as we get closer to the deadline, we'll probably talk about what our teams need to make. But right now, for the most part, it's pretty quiet. Lots of injuries, so you really can't give your full critique on the team with all these injuries.
Yeah. The deadline's going to be interesting for both of us.
It's going to be fun. We'll have a lot of content prepared around that because I think we should. But it's just hard to get anything to right now because everything's speculation. Everything's so far out.
Rumors and
there's not going to be a trade for another 3 weeks. So I'm geared to put money on it right now.
I would also. but I'm not going to. So
yeah, we gotta end this nonetheless. We hope you guys enjoyed. Remember, like, subscribe, share with everybody else, and let us know what you like the most in the comments. And we'll see you.
We'll see you.